Okay, man. Well, thank you for coming on. I massively appreciate it. It's I'm looking forward to it certainly. Um, so obviously, congratulations on winning your Merciless, man. If someone told me that the winners of the tournament were going to be a Shaman, and not only that, but a Draenei Shaman, and not even that, a Draenei Enhancement Shaman, yeah, I'm not sure I would have necessarily believed them. But yeah, so how are you feeling about the tournament? What did you think? Was
Oh,
it well run or?
thank you first. I mean, if someone told me that we would win as Peace Cliff, I wouldn't believe them too. Or if anyone would win with the Beast Cliff, especially with Alliance Beast Cliff. I mean, it's something else entirely.
Do you think that it's sort of quite a disadvantage being Alliance, or obviously I think Dwarf Hunters are pretty OP.
Yeah, it's quite nice for Dwarf. He has Stoneform. That helps a lot versus certain teams. But as a Shaman, you don't really benefit much. I mean, you have Gift of the Narrow, and that's, I mean, you're never really gonna use that, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to think if there were any matches. I think there might have been one in Blade's Edge where you've Gift versus the RMP, the Alliance RMP. You guys were all crazy low. Everyone was going and I think you might have done Gift in that match.
Yeah, it happened versus the WOD and then versus the ROP. We almost lost at 2v3 because we were all dying from dots, and you have a crazy warrior going on you with mortal strikes. So I had to kinda do something. Start healing myself. But then I got Tomb after 2 laser heals, so I had to just gift the arrow.
Okay, well,
I guess it saved me then, yeah. Can say it was quite good then.
Oh yeah, I think it certainly it's going to have its places, but I think with sort of all racials, it's kind of the way I measure them is not necessarily how good they are, the thing they do. It's kind of how often are you going to use them. Things like Warstorm is good every game.
Yeah, Warstorm you're definitely gonna use it every game. And as in Gift, you're probably not gonna use it 9 out of 10 games, but that one game it might win you the game.
Yeah, man. Well, so obviously we've met and spoken very briefly, but for people watching that don't necessarily know who you are, do you want to sort of give yourself a bit of a shout out, just sort of explain who what you play, how long you've been playing Shaman, etc., etc.
Yeah, sure. Started playing TBC private server back some 12 years ago probably, and continued playing on private servers after. Jumped on Blizzard in RAT for some time, then I jumped in Blizzard in PFA too, but I haven't played much of, let's say, Kata, Mob, Trainer, and whatnot. I've just gone back to TBC and continued playing private servers.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I think I managed a bit of Cataclysm, and that was about it. After that, I just couldn't stomach the game and started doing private runs myself. So, and you've been playing Enhancement the whole time. Then have you sort of diversified at all? You tried any alts or anything?
Yes, I have been playing Enhancement my whole life, I guess. I started probably as a Paladin, but I didn't like that. I mean, I've leveled till level 20 or something, and I ditched it. And I've been playing Enhancement ever since. I mean, I've obviously played many classes, but it's not for some competitive reasons or anything. Just for fun.
Sounds good, man. But so out everything you can play in WoW, up all the classes, you've decided you're going to spend 12 years now. You've decided you're going to be playing Enhancement. What's kind of attracted you to the class and the spec in the first place, and why after all this time are you sort of sticking with it?
Yeah, probably guess I'm a conservative guy. I started playing Enhancement. I mean, that was my first ever class that I reached level 70. So I just stick to that. I mean, I really liked how it felt. Really liked the damage, obviously the Wind Fury. That's a huge game changer when you get that, Because you're getting it level 32 or something.
Yeah, I can. I was leveling a shaman on Wrath of the Lich King White Mane recently, and yeah, I got to level 32, got Wind Fury Totem, and I was like, yes, I can do, 5 man to put Wind Fury down from my melee, and then you realise that in Wrath of the Lich King it's like 20% haste or something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a whole different game once you get Wind Fury. You start thrashing through mobs and everything, you don't care about what you're hitting, you just hit stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely is a night and day. It's the same with sort of, I guess, Water Shield is
Yeah.
is the big one. So just sort of to jump back a little bit, I've got you down as Orc Paladin, and on the stream, do you have sort of a name that other people might recognise you for, or what's the sort of the standard go-to that people might know you from if they've played with you before?
To be honest, Atlantis is the one server I didn't use my Deathwalker name. It's my go-to name all those years. Every time I created a Shaman, it was with that name. And on Atlantis, I just didn't do it. For unknown reasons.
You decided you'd embrace the Gnome Warrior Warlock meme that seems to have appeared.
Yeah, first on Netherwing we created a WOD, the JK Low squad, if you remember that.
Oh, I didn't play on Netherwing. So,
yeah, but yeah, that was 2 back then.
Mm-hmm.
So we just on Karazhan decided to do some meme stuff again. Just roll out with no more Shaman Warrior Warlock, yeah. And Torque Paladin was just another meme. So I guess I was start of Deathwalker.
So Deathwalker is the original OG name that people might know you from.
Yes.
Okay.
So I've been. If you've seen a Shaman with that name on a private server, it's probably me.
Okie dokie. Well, speaking of sort of Netherwing and previous realms, have you always been playing Draenei Shaman then, or is this is that part of the 12 years of Draenei Shaman, or have you sort of mixed up a little bit?
So it was a kind of group decision among our friends group that we were to play Alliance on Karazhan. So that's why we rolled with that. But mainly we've been playing Horde, because mainly we are only PvPing, and Horde is quite a lot better than Alliance. I mean, for Shaman at least.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think for Shaman, it's almost quite unfair how unbalanced the Horde ratios are compared to Draenei.
I mean, with Draenei you get, in Rat and later expansions you get that 1% hit, which is quite good, but in TBC you're only getting 1% spell hit, and that's really not helping you a lot.
Well, it's just proof that Shamans are meant to be spellcasters.
Yeah.
So obviously, you've said you've played Horde previously. What ways did you play as Horde? What kind of what's your go-to? What do you think's the best one?
Always Orc. The Blood Fairy ratio is quite nice. You get tons of damage. You can reset wounds and mortals.
Not going for the War Stomp?
Not going for the War Stomp, no, it doesn't really help you that much.
Oh, I suppose I always figured obviously as enhancement it resets your swing timer in...
I mean, you're gonna have a druid with you that's gonna have War Stomp, so you can use that.
Yep, so I think we just sort of try and start with some general Shaman stuff before we sort of go too deep dive into enhancement itself. And Vessel has been memeing it in chat a little bit, and it's definitely something I am always curious to see sort of what other Shamans think about, and that's totem stomping. What do you think about totem stomps and macros and all that kind of jazz in TBC?
Hands down, it's disgusting. But since I'm playing a Warlock too, I'm using it. I mean, yeah. Everybody's gonna use that, there's no doubt about it. You just have to, play around it.
You know,
However you can.
is it as simple as putting, slash pet attack target, tremor totem
It's
in every
as
single.
simple as that. Doing that with multiple totem names, it's just as simple as that. And you can bind it to your scroll and just run around, scroll the mouse wheel at the top point. And then your pet's going crazy killing all the totems.
And that is pretty filthy, to be fair.
Yeah, you can just put it on every spell you use, and there's that too.
Yeah, and it is depressing to see how easily totems are destroyed sometimes.
It's more depressing when you use an add-on that tells you when your tremor is gonna proc, because it has a 4-second cooldown.
Yeah.
And when you see that it's about to proc and then the pet just swings it and kills it, and you're like, yeah, fuck man.
Yeah, it's the same with priests. You place your tremor totem, they fear you, and they've got 3 seconds or whatever to melee your totem that it's just appeared right next to you.
Yep.
That said, one of the fun things to do is to swap in a Stoneclaw totem and see if they melee that and stun themselves. They're just on autopilot. I've tried doing that, especially when if you're kiting. I suppose obviously as enhancement you don't really do that, but as
you can do that. You can still do that, but people high level and not going to fall for that because they're waiting to see a tremor totem, not something else.
Yeah,
but if some people are just going outdoing every single totem you put down, then you can get some quite good baits with that.
So TBC obviously saw some pretty big changes to classes, and Shaman wasn't any different, especially certain specs. I think Elemental and Elemental Enhancement got quite a lot of love. What do you think was sort of the biggest changes for Shaman in TBC?
Definitely dual wield, because you don't get that in Classic. And 2, it is a lot more consistent DPS than a 2-hander. 2-hander is just for good burst, but what do you do if your attack gets dodged or parried or something? You just wait 4 more seconds for the next out.
Yeah, well, when we just after the tournament, we sort of both briefly spoke, and you mentioned at the time that you do actually swap to a 2-hander sometimes. What situation do you find yourself using 2-handers, and what's the advantage to it?
I have a quite good story about some days ago on Endless. We played 2s as Enhancement Druid versus Priest Mage, and I was hating my life for straight up 20 minutes or something because I was just getting kited and CC'd. And we were on Blade's Edge, and I got myself on top of the bridge while all the rest were down for some reason. And I had all my cooldowns up, so I just swapped to a 2-hander. The mage was downstairs doing something.
Mage stuff.
Not having any shields on him, so I knew that was the time. I equipped the 2-hander, popped all the CDs, put some strength totems, gifted totems, and just jumped on his head, straight up 100-0'd him.
Some what was the vanilla? Is it the guy with Sulphurous? The one I mean, the Enhancement Shaman I mean, in Warsong.
Yeah.
It's getting flashbacks to it's vanilla Wind Fury.
Yeah, it can get the same. There are a lot of BG compilations about Enhancement Shamans that people just run around with Berserker and full buffs, just stomping on everybody, one-shotting people.
What,
2-handers.
in TBC?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen these. I'll have to. I honestly just don't really look at Enhancement. I'm egotistical like that. I just look at Resto stuff.
It can get quite fun in BGs with the 2-hander.
I find myself going Elemental in BGs and just blowing people up with Chain Lightning, and
Nope.
I
guess it's the same.
Yeah, no.
We all love one-shotting people. Everybody loves that.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think anybody doesn't like a good old instant give. So yeah, sort of talking talking about YouTubes and different, stuff that we watch, I think the sort of thing I've noticed recently is everyone's starting to do these kind of like tier lists and top classes for TBC, PvP, etc. Where do you think sort of Shaman really fits in these kinds of lists, compared to something like, I don't know, a Feral Druid if you're an enhancement?
Well, as an enhancement, you're not going to put it as an S tier, definitely. But as a Resto, you might want to do that, because there are a lot of good comps. I mean, Shadow play, you know that. Also, Shatter play can be quite good in trees. But you have to be Resto for that. And as a enhancement, you probably can get to A tier, let's say. You're quite good.
And you think
if your
that's
teammates are quite good.
As a beast leaf then, or?
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure obviously we're familiar with the terminology, but I'm sure there might be a few people out there on the Streamland or on YouTube afterwards that aren't familiar with beast leaf as a comp. Do you want to sort of like give us a rough breakdown and how it sort of works and etc, etc?
Yeah, so we're talking about Resto Druid, Beast, Mastery Hunter, and Enhancement Shaman here. It can get quite good versus people that are not expecting what you're gonna do and the damage you can output, because you have a lot of cooldowns, and Hunter Pet with all the cooldowns he has and Bloodlust can be quite devastating for an enemy team, especially if they're all plot users. And your Shaman just purges all the shields on them, and the Hunter can just solo them, basically.
Okay, so
I mean, yes, you're more on the supportive side as an enhancement. I mean, as a Shaman in general, you're just a support class. That's how it goes. So, yeah.
Okay, so sort of what what are the standout matchups you think for Beastly? What do you reckon it does really well against, and conversely, what do you struggle with when you're playing it?
We definitely struggle versus, let's say, WD, because they can just prolong the game for as much as they want, and if we don't kill in our cooldowns, then we just lose. And that's that. I mean, after BM Hunter's cooldowns, what do? He's just useless. Or let's say you kill the pet and you can't prolong the game as a beast cave.
Yeah.
You have to go out swinging.
So what sort of what other comps have you tried as an enhancement? I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be threes either. I don't know sort of whether you tried 2v2 at all, or what have you been successful with?
In twos, you're most definitely gonna want to play with a druid, because he offers the most support for you. Nothing else. I mean, it's gonna work as a healer. You can also go double DPS with a mage, but both the druid and the mage are basically carrying you. You're again more of a supportive side. And in trees, we did try Turbo, which is Arms Warrior replacing the Hunter.
Yep.
But that works if there are no mages on ladder, because if there are a lot of mages on ladder, you're just both your DPSers are sitting in CC the whole game, and your druid is just getting zerked, and there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, I think it's sort of similar to, I think that's with a lot of Shaman comps actually, that as soon as you have Shaman and melee, because we don't have the defensive dispel in any way, as soon as you go against mages. It's the same with like Resto Shaman, Resto Druid Warrior, really nice cleave comp, or like double healer comp, and that does fantastic until you go against a single mage, and then your warrior can't do a single thing.
Yeah, and you're just watching him sitting in CC, nothing you can do about that.
Yep. So can you sort of like maybe give viewers sort of a rough idea what kind of spec you actually run? Is there anything that really stands out, or is enhancement PvP pretty sort of cookie cutter?
Max Enhancement, there's really only one spec that you're gonna go. That's 7 points in Enhancement and the rest in Resto. I know a lot of people will wanna go Elemental because it just looks better once you first look at it, but that's not the way to go. It doesn't really offer you anything much beside 1 second of your cooldowns on the shocks. And that's really it, so you have to go Resto, which all the things are quite good there.
Yeah.
You get just mana cost on totems. That's gonna help you a lot because you don't have a lot of mana and all the spells are costing a huge amount of that. And you're gonna go quite fast if you're just spamming spells.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of sort of enhancement talents and your mana, one of the things I've always sort of been curious about is Shamanistic Rage. So it's obviously it's got sort of two components to it. It's got the giving you your mana back, you know, when you do melee attacks, and then it's also got the sort of shield wall aspect to it. You know, so when you're playing, what do you find yourself using it for? Do you find it, you know, do you use it to get the mana back, or do you use it to sort of turtle up? Because I imagine if you're, you know, shield walling, you probably don't want to find yourself running off, you know, meleeing people. So I find it, you know, it's one or the other, at least to my mind.
I mean, if you see yourself getting trained on, it's always good that you can swap to one-hander and shield and pop rage, and that's quite a good amount of damage reduction if it's a melee class training you. If it's a mage just shattering you, I mean, it's not really gonna help you much. I mean, 30% is good, I know, but
you're still gonna, yeah, get punished.
You're gonna, yep. But yeah, if you're not getting trained on and you're going ham all out, spamming purges and stuff, you're gonna get doomed quite fast, and it's quite helpful if you can stick to your target to pop rage and get all that mana back.
How much sort of mana do you get back from like if you get like an effective rage off where you're able to sit on the target? You know, you're gonna get, you know, 30% back, 40%.
There's the RNG part of it, because it's chance on hit to get 30% of your mana back, of your attack power back.
Ah, okay, so even more.
So you can get to full mana in one swing with Storm Strike and Wind Fury procs and all that giving you mana back. You're gonna see tons of mana regen in one swing. If all the attacks proc that mana regen. But there's the thing that all those attacks can proc 0 mana regen hit, so.
Yeah, so just even more RNG on top of RNG.
Also, people can CC you if they see rage, and yeah, if you're not sticking to your target, then it's quite useless.
Yeah. So, you know, personally, I'd really like to see 5v5 come back as like an active bracket in TBC. You know, have you had an opportunity to play 5s at all, or, you know, and just in general, you know, what's your sort of favorite bracket to be playing as an enhancement?
My favorite definitely is 3s, because that's where the game is at, I think. 5 is more of a meme bracket, because you can see 4 multi-boxers, elemental shamans and a holy paladin just killing you in one global.
Do you think if they banned multi-boxing, that would you know, bring a bit of life to 5v5, or do you think it's just going to be, you know, meme forever?
I think it's gonna be meme forever, because there's lots of chaos going on in 5s. I mean, 10 people in the arena, it's quite something.
Yeah.
Then you get that Destro Warlock shadow furing your whole team.
Yeah, no, it's gonna. I suppose even if you're not multi-boxing, you can still have, you know, 5 people playing in an elemental, 5 people playing Pompire Mage.
I've played 5s as Enhancement Shaman, Arms Warrior, Red Paladin, and a Destrolog and some Healer. random hero put there. So that Warlock just stuns someone and the Zug Zug DPS is going ham on something. And it just dies. There's nothing they can do.
Well, speaking of going enhanced Zug Zug, when we sort of spoke previously, you mentioned that you found Uzbeki to be a really sort of interesting inspiration for, you know, improving your enhancement play. You know, what sort of aspects of Uzbeki's enhancement did you pick up on, and what did you find helpful?
Definitely patience. Because when I started playing, I was all about doing damages, and probably all the people that start Shaman are gonna do that, because you're a melee DPS, you wanna do damage, you wanna stick to your target. How do you damage? You do damage with purging shields, right? So there goes your mana, purging 10 times in a row, and you're gonna go home. And after that, what do? You're gonna get kited, CC'd forever. You don't wanna have mana for anything, it's gonna be useless. So I definitely struggled with that, and yeah, I can say Uzbeki quite helped with that. Not see all that patience, you can just sit not doing anything, regen some mana, because you know you're gonna do damage when you stick to the target, but also does your enemies. They know that if you stick on them, they're gonna die.
Okay, well, I mean, I think everybody does love a good PvP movie, and as time's gone on, it's become, content's become more and more accessible. Has there been sort of, beyond Uzbeki, there sort of been like any sort of Shaman heroes for you? Anybody you've like sort of tried to emulate, look up to over time?
I would say it's definitely Uzbeki. I mean, that's been the guy I've been watching ever since I found his enhancement videos all those years ago.
I mean, I didn't even realize he played enhancement. To be fair, I've seen. Did I? I think I might.
Yeah, but we're talking about some 8 years ago, probably. So there's quite old videos.
Okay, so where was this? Where was he playing at that point in time? Then, do you remember?
I have no idea.
So hopefully, there's going to be, some people listening in and watching that are kind of interested in trying enhancement in TBC. So to your mind, what are the advantages to taking enhancement, say, over an elemental?
Elemental doesn't really provide much in PvP unless you're going for some spellcaster comps, but I've never really seen many of those.
Yeah, I don't think I've. Well, obviously, Elemental's massive in 5v5, but outside of that.
Yes, in 5s, yes, but outside of 5s, there's.
Yeah.
Because let's say you face a warlock and he puts a curse of tongues on you, what do you do then?
Cry.
You NS chain lightning, and after that, you're gonna be useless.
And you just think, enhancement doesn't necessarily have the sort of same limitations, or?
It definitely does. I mean, if you're gonna face a lot of mages, then you're gonna hate your life. But I mean, you're getting quite used to it, I guess. Just try to outplay your opponent as much as you can. Because and also even if you're sitting in CC, then you still can support your teammates with tremors, crowdings. You have bloodlust, all sorts of things.
Yeah, well, talking about totems, obviously, as a Resto, I can really struggle sometimes to keep my totems up in between casts. Do you find it, is it not too bad as an enhancement because you got, you're not casting spells so much, or, is totem management still a bit of a nightmare?
If you're facing a warlock with totem stomp macro, or some people that just go full out killing every time you place a totem, you're gonna have a hard time versus them, keeping them up. But you need to get you need to kinda outplay your enemies with your totem placements. I mean, you can afford to not stick to your target for a moment or two, to just jump in some other direction, play some totems, and go back. In some sorts of to hide them or something. But let's say that the pet is in Frost Trap and he's slowed, and you can place the totem in the other side of a pure or something, so that pet can get to it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But yeah, that's the little things that help here. You have to get creative with your totem placements.
Yeah, I've definitely been finding that more and more as sort of you improve and find yourself playing against better and better people. You can't just dump it down in the middle. You have to sneak it off somewhere.
Yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure that game in the final versus the ROP, I'm pretty sure I placed Tremor totems like 5 or 6 times in a row, just to mess with the priest, trying to kill it.
Okay, so obviously I play Resto Shaman. That's what I'm sort of known for and what I enjoy. And one of the interesting things with Resto, obviously, is despite being a healer, you can still offensively interrupt and offensively shock. And for anyone not familiar with Shaman, is all of your shocks, whether it's first shock, etc., they all share cooldown. However, obviously for Enhancement, you guys want to be using your shocks, offensively to do damage. So, how do you sort of like balance between, using your shock to, interrupt heals versus, dealing damage?
Well, I'd say 90% of the shocks you're gonna use are rank 1. Earth Shock and Frost Shock. Just Frost Shock just to stick to your target. And rank 1 helps with that a lot, because it's using some 100 mana, let's say, instead of the 500 the max rank is. And if you're gonna use max rank, if you do 10 shocks, then you're completely after 10 shocks your mana is just gone. So you're gonna have to use ranked 1 a lot. And yeah, there's this thing that if you wanna stick to your target, you're gonna use Frost Shock a lot. But let's say you're facing a druid, you can just shift out of it. So after that you have stuff like Herdbind Totem that helps. So let's say you Frost Shock him, he shifts, you Herdbind, he shifts again. And you're still missing some time to Frost Shock him again to enable you to stick to the target. So that's where you gonna wanna use Frostbrand weapon.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you have say Frostbrand in your offhand, or do you like weapon swap to a set of weapons? Because obviously on tournament you have infinite possibilities. You can have a set of weapons that have Frostbrand on it and a set that have Wind Fury. What sort of weapon enhancements do you choose?
You can definitely go most of the games with Frostbrand on the offhand, Wind Fury main hand, and just stick to that. That helps a lot. Let's say versus Druid, as I said, you can, if you manage to apply Frostbrand on him, he has to shift, right? And when he shifts, you can then shock. You can probably get one more Frostbrand or Earthbind, and then your shock is gonna be off cooldown. So you can stick to the target for quite some time.
And then I imagine, obviously, in Beast Cleave as well, you've got the Hunter's Trap, which is just gonna...
Yes. And the Hunter's also coming in for slows too. With twin clips and because of shots.
That sounds good, man. Sounds good. So, unlike vanilla TBC, we have these seasons of PvP, and each new season we get new gear, and then we might have a new tier of raiding as well. And this sort of changes, can really impact playstyle in the meta. What do you think? Do you think there's a particular season that really favors enhancement? Does it just get better with seasons getting later, or?
I want to say I really regret not playing enhancement in season 1 here on Atlantis, because I thought we were gonna manage to get quite good. because of the damage that the enhancement can put up early season, because no one has any resilience, no one has any armor, and you can just one-shot people even without 2 hinders.
So you're thinking sort of season 1 is the...
Not necessary, because your paper also, I mean, a mage can shatter you to that on Frostbolt. But honestly, I think season 3 might be the best one. I mean, I think it's the best one because overall PvP quality in season 3 is, I guess, let's say, the most balanced out of them all. But yeah, it really depends on the mages you face in arenas.
Yeah, well, Blizzard themselves obviously locked their tournament realms at season 2. If I remember correctly, I think their justification for that was mostly armor pen. But you know, how did you find Enhancement in season 2? You know, obviously you did quite well in the tournament, but you know, sort of in general.
Yeah, I can say it's quite good. But if people start training you, you don't really have anything to do. You have one rage and that's it. And after the rage, what's stopping them from killing you?
And what in later seasons with the better gauge,
so
sort of less paper, or?
I mean, you have more resilience later seasons on. So that's helping quite much. Also, if you have equip a one-hand range shoot, let's say then a rogue is gonna get quite a hard time killing you. One of the games versus an RMP we played, I guess it was the first day, rogue couldn't kill me from 2000 HP just because I had a shoot on. And I sat full kidney and couldn't die.
Yeah, I noticed when I was casting you, you did a very good job of you know, getting the shield up when you were getting focused. You know, how often do you find yourself sort of swapping to weapons, or you know, swapping weapons, whether it's to do it two-handers or dual wield or one-hander and shield?
You definitely swap weapons a lot, I'd say. I mean, if they go on you, you obviously swap to one-hander and shield. If, let's say, you have an opportunity to get some quite good amount of burst damage, you equip that two-hander and just storm strike the target, hoping for a Wind Fury proc.
Pray for the gods of RNG.
Yep. I mean, that's basically what Enhancement is all about, being an RNG god. If you're not an RNG god, you're gonna hate your life. But if you are, then your enemies are gonna hate their lives.
Yeah, do you find that, you know, you'll play arena for an evening and just, you know, you'll find you're just having a bad day of RNG and you know, you just don't win games because of RNG? How often do you think you know, bad luck is the, you know, the reason that you don't get kills and or just don't win matches?
That's where patience comes in, as I talked before. Because you know, if you manage to get a good RNG, you know you're gonna get some quite good amount of damage. But then again, your enemies know that too, so you just have to turtle out, pray for the lucky Wind Fury proc, and then go from there.
So we touched, you know, just now sort of briefly touched on weapons and weapon swapping, and I know that Enhancements quite like to get the blacksmithing weapons crafted. How sort of important do you think you know, blacksmithing is, and you know, what sort of professions would you go if you're not going to go blacksmithing?
As an enhancement, it's all about weapons. That's the first thing you wanna get ever, because weapons are your main source of damage. The better the weapons, the more damage you do. Doesn't matter how much attack power and stuff you get from items, because you're not really getting much attack power from items. You're just a warrior using rogue's items. There's that.
And then, well, I suppose beyond weapons, you know, sort of what, you know, how big is PvE gear? Are you forced to use, you know, full resilience all the time? Can you sort of mix in a bit of PvE now and then, or?
You don't really need PvE gear being enhancement. The only Real PV gear you wanna get is a relic that basically gives you 2 more ranks of Wind Fury.
Okay, so the relic, what does
From
can
Mana
you attack
Tomb's
power?
heroic. Yeah.
Okay,
It
so
gives an extra attack power on your Wind Fury weapon.
okay, yeah, and then that's better than the Gladiator's one, I assume.
Yeah, the Gladiator's one only gives you resilience. I mean, you can swap out relics too, but you're gonna have to be careful not to get global because of it. Because if you're in combat hitting your target, you decide to slow up relics, you're gonna get on global cooldown.
Okay, sounds good, man. Sounds good. So, sort of jumping back a little bit, just to some sort of a bit of theory when it comes to matchups and whatnot. I mean, as a Restoration Shaman, Warlocks are a complete nightmare for Restos. Is there a particular class? I mean, I think you've mentioned Mage a little bit, but is there anything other than Mage that really you think solidly counters an Enhancement Shaman?
Definitely mages. I mean, basically anything that can make you sit the whole game in CC, not being able to move or do anything at all.
Is there any way of you sort of dealing with that? I suppose you can put down a frost resistance totem and pray for some RNG, but I think from what we've discussed so far, it sounds like you're already going to be praying for as much RNG as possible.
Yeah, most of the time frost resistance is not gonna help you. I mean, I still do it because there's what else fire totem you're gonna put there. You can play Searing Totem, right? But the mage can just outrange you.
Yeah.
Doesn't help much.
So I've got a choose comp actually that I've played against a little bit recently, and that's Disc Priest enhancement with a troll Disc Priest, and I can imagine you can do the same thing with a Shadow Priest. Have you sort of tried the comp at all? Have you sort of?
No, but once you said that, I really want to try it now, because Troll Priest has this healing reduce.
Yeah, it has the Mortal Strike.
First, which as enhancement helps you a lot because you have no healing reduce at all. And if the enemy hero manages to get one big heal off and tops himself, then what you're gonna do? You have to spend all that time again to kill him.
Yeah, no, it's as you said, it works quite well. And then obviously the disadvantage to being a troll is that you don't have Will of Forsaken, but you're playing with the Shaman anyway, so you've got Tremor Totem, so fear isn't such a massive deal for for the comp, and because you've got the enhancer. So I think there's some good synergy there with the comp.
There is, but once your priest starts getting trained on, there's nothing really you can do about it being a shaman. I mean, you can just place your blind hope to slow the enemies, but if there's a rogue training your priest, then what you're gonna do? He's popping evasion, you're dodging all the attacks on him, and you can't slow him either, because Grippling's had way better slow than yours.
Yeah. So you mentioned twos you played was Enhancement Resto Druid, right?
Yep.
What sort of what does that work against? What's the what's your favourite matchup?
I can't say I have a favorite matchup playing that thing. You can.
Or sort of I suppose matchups that you think it's strong against, and we go with that rather than a favourite matchup.
Definitely you're facing some cloth users, I would say. And if they're not sitting on you, you can just kill the enemy cloth user. Because you do so much damage if you're able to stick to your target.
Yeah.
But Tools is mostly about letting your druid play his own game, just run around, not being able to stick on.
What, and you
But
just sort of rely on
you
doing pressure?
can help. You have one frost shock, and there's that. You can slow the target once, and help him get out, but that's it.
Yeah. Okay, so something that I get quizzed about quite a bit is the add-ons I use. Are there sort of any ones that you find yourself, you know, you simply can't live without at this point? Or I don't know what your UI looks like.
There definitely is one, but I think you're using it too. It's called Shaman's Friend, and
Yep, no.
by the name of it, it's definitely your friend as Shaman.
Well, do you want to sort of explain for viewers, you know, what does Shaman Friend do that's so fantastic?
Well, the main thing for enhancement is you wanna see your damage, right? You wanna see big numbers. That's in every melee class you're playing. You just wanna see numbers. And what Shaman Friend does is it can sorts out your win damage as one big number on top of your screen.
Oh, so it takes, rather than it showing, you know, 3 numbers, it just shows a single.
Yeah.
I did not know it did that.
Yeah, it says win damage, yada yada yada. It can also say that which hand procced it, if it missed or it's get parried or something.
Okay, that's quite nice.
It's quite useful for purges so you see what you're purging.
Yeah. And then I suppose sort of going hand in hand with add-ons, you know, macros. Do you use, you know, you macro heavy, or you know, don't find yourself using many, or?
There's not really many that. I mean, you can get creative and whatnot if you want to, but apart from the usual weapon swap macros, I mean, focus, shock macros, and there's really not much anything else to put a macro on.
Yeah. Well, question-wise, we're getting towards the end now. We've got sort of 5 to go. So if people listening in have any questions for Deathwalker, then you can put it in the Twitch chat, you can put it in the Discord, and we will get around to that. So you've got sort of, I don't know, 5-10 minutes now to think of any questions you might have for him. But that said, I've got sort of a bit of an interesting question. I got asked actually on a podcast, and I thought I'd ask you the same. So, sort of as an enhancement shaman, you've just dinged 70. You know, what are the sort of first, you know, 3 pieces of gear that you're going to look to farm now you've just dinged?
Definitely weapons. I mean, whatever the weapon upgrade you can find, you want to go for that. I mean, if you're rolling blacksmithing, then you definitely want to get the blacksmithing weapons. And if you're not doing that, all the weapons you can get from normals, heroics, whatever, until you get that sweet PvP gear. Because after you get your PvP gear, there's not much anything else you want to get.
Yeah, I remember you saying that you don't sort of really spice it up with too much PvE gear, and
yeah, because you want that resilience. I mean, it helps a lot.
What do you find yourself sort of gemming then? Do you end up gemming sort of resilience and the defensive stats, or you know, is it strength, is it crit?
You just gem strength, and I mean, if you're going on ladder, you can afford yourself not to gem any resilience at all. Just go out full ham swinging and stuff. But on a tournament setting, so yes, you want to put resilience on every yellow socket you can. Just to maximize your chances when being trained to survive.
Yep, no, I'm with you.
But yeah, definitely on red you go strength, on yellow you go resilience. Simple as that.
Do you find yourself socketing hit at all? Do you get hit from? I get 3 from. Do you get 3 from talents? I don't know if you.
Yes, you get 3 hit from talents, and then you get additional 6 if you do a wield from enhancement. So you're good on hit. Just from talents, you're gonna be good on hit. So.
Okay.
And from gear, I mean, gear gives you quite some nice amount of hit too. And combined with talents, you're good to go. Don't need to gem any hit at all.
Okay, that's quite interesting. As Resto, you actually you find yourself jamming quite a bit of hit just to save up those talent points. I mean, as you sort of alluded to, you know, there's so many good talents for Resto. You always sort of stretched as to, you know, what you do take and what you don't.
That's where you go with China and get that sweet 1% hit, and then the 3 from talents, you're good to go.
So, I mean, you've said, you know, it's been 12 years now of Enhancement Shaman. You know, what do you think was sort of like the big mistakes you made in those 12 years? And certainly maybe when you were starting out, what were the really rookie errors you were making, you think?
Definitely embracing the Zook Zook. That's not how you're supposed to play the game. And yeah, that's it. That's the biggest mistake. I'm just trying to output as much damage as I can, not caring about anything else. Going full ham, swinging, trying to beat top DPSer and stuff, but that's, I mean, that's not PvE. You have to be quite patient with your timings and things you do.
Well, that's one of the things that I always laugh at when I watch streams and people have damage meters on in Arena. I see it a lot on live streams actually, so I see it most often, people with damage meters in Arena. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna play Peacecliff, the Hunter's Pet is gonna be top DPS every time, so there's nothing you can do about that.
Really? I didn't
You just have to embrace it and try to support it as much as you can.
You are there to support and enable the Hunter's Pet.
Yes, sure, you have to be quite enjoying playing a support role.
Yeah, I can't remember who said it, but a while back, sort of just general discussion about shamans, and someone mentioned that they think that shaman is sort of equivalent to like the bard class that you see in, you know, D&D and stuff like that. You know, do you sort of just, you know, how do you think shaman sits in the sort of class world? What do you think it is? A support, a damage?
It's definitely a support. I mean, you can do a lot of damage, and you know that. I mean, you hit targets, you see big numbers, you want to do that again. But I mean, if people know what they're doing, they're not gonna let you do that, and you're gonna get frustrated because you're getting kited all day long. And that's why you sort of have to be a lot of patience about your plays and know your timings when you have to go in and out. And yeah.
Good, that sounds good, man. Sounds good.
But that comes from experience. You're just gonna have to play the game a lot and gonna get a feeling about it.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously you just you know, successful this season with Beast Cleave. Are there any comps, any you know, strategies that you've sort of seen people playing or heard about that you're really interested in trying that you maybe haven't?
I haven't heard anything else apart from playing Turbo or Beast Cleave as Enhancement. So I haven't really tried anything else myself.
Have you tried Turbo yourself?
Yeah, we have tried Turbo ourselves. But it's not as good, I think, as Beast Cleave. Because what do you do if there's a mage in the enemy team? Both you and the warrior just sitting next to each other, just watching yourself getting your druid getting killed. Nothing you can do. You should just sit in a frost nova and just stare at each other. But yeah, being a hunter definitely helps with that, because hunter with CDs can get slowed or anything, it just outputs damage.
Yeah, you get
and
this
that
guaranteed
helps people sort of forget about you, because they want to run away from the hunter, not want to get full trained on by a hunter standing in the middle of the arena. And that's where you can get your opportunity to do some damage and really shine on.
Well, one of the great things I think about live progression servers like Karazhan is that, you know, with each season you get, you know, a whole new set of gear and new toys to play with. You know, going into season 3 now, is there anything you're particularly looking forward to trying? You know, I think you get the Battle Masters trinkets, for example, I think this season, don't we?
Yeah, but I don't think you're usually using that as enhancement. I mean, it doesn't help you that much. That's other classes, because, I mean, let's say you're gonna use Battle Master, but what's stopping them from just killing you again? Because you're not a druid to shift out and run to the other side of the arena. You're still sitting in one place getting trained on.
Okay.
That much.
So, you know, what trinkets do you use then if you're not going to be using the Battle Master? Obviously, you know, you're going to have your PP trinket in one socket. What's your preferred trinket in the second?
You're gonna wanna use something that gives you attack power, like the Badge of Justice trinket, the Bloodless Brooch. Gives you attack power on use. Later on, if you can get your hands on that Zuaman trinket, then go for that. But if you're not, then the Bloodless Brooch is gonna be just as good.
Yeah. Okay, well, that is at least from my questions. You know, is there anything that you want to talk about? Is there anything that maybe I missed that you think is certainly worth having a discussion? And then obviously likewise, guys, final opportunity, if you have any questions for Deathwalker, then post them in chat now and we will get them answered for you guys.
I guess there's this question that you told me about, the things that I never thought would work before,
Okay, yep.
Now we're good.
Must have missed that one.
That's definitely gonna be your resist totems. Because when I started playing, I really never thought I would use my resist totems apart from, the frost one when facing frost mages. But occasionally I found out that having nature resist totem and also poison cleansing totem can get quite beneficial against rogues.
Okay, so you drop nature res, which is...
yeah, also you're playing with a druid, you have abolish poison on yourself, you can also clear yourself from poisons, being a shaman, and having a poison cleansing totem and a nature resist totem that can make a rogue's life quite hard. Poisons on you.
I imagine the rogue won't have any spell pen or anything like that, so I can imagine the resistance is pretty significant. I'm curious now to try that myself, see how much how many resists I actually get on poisons. 'Cause obviously if you can stop them stacking up in the first place, then it makes your life very easy when it comes to healing.
Yep. It works quite good. I mean, it's not much resistance, but it can definitely help you out.
Is it the same as Frost, so it's like 17 HP?
Yeah, it's 70 resistance, yeah.
Yeah, and that's your air totem as well, so you're miss grounding, but you can always cycle it in.
Yeah, but you use grounding mostly on cooldown being an enhancement, so you can afford to put other totems on grounding itself.
Yeah.
You have quite a big window, 45 seconds to put anything you want.
Yep.
The grounding is killed almost instantly. You're just not using it to... I mean, you're using it when you see a cast going off, or let's say a silence is gonna go off right now and you try to get to the grounding.
Yeah, sort of going on to what totems do you find yourself using as enhancement? Are there any sort of what's your go-to setup? Because obviously as a resto we might be using quite a different set to enhancements.
I think we're using quite the same totems, I would say. There's not really...
Well, I assume you don't use. I assume you don't use Wrath of Air, for example. Do you find yourself using Grace of Air then?
I do use Wrath of Air. I mean, in twos, if I play twos with a druid and it's past season 3, where druids can do damage, it's quite good to use Wrath, because your druids can output quite a lot of damage.
Okay, so when you get sort of the Resto kin type stuff.
Yeah. Agility isn't helping you all that much. Let's say you're sitting in a Frost Nova, what do you do?
Yeah, and then you mentioned that you don't find Searing Totem particularly useful, you just still use Frost Resistance.
If you're facing a mage, then yes, but if you're not facing a mage, Searing Totem is the go-to Fire Totem. Also, Fire Nova is quite good when going for that burst damage. Fire Nova with the two-hander is quite a lot of damage. Guess you're gonna do is, let's say, Cyclone your target, you're placing Fire Nova Totem, and right when the clones goes off, your Fire Nova ticks, you Storm Strike, let's say you get the Wind Fury proc, then you also shock, and that's quite a good amount of burst.
Okay, that sounds good, man.
And if you're Druid, Starfire Soul's Wind at the same time, then enemy team is gonna have problems.
Okay, dude. Well, thank you very much for coming on. I, really appreciate it. It's been, well, we've got a simple question. How is Enhancement in PvP? I suppose it's a sort of general question. How do you find it?
That depends. What are you talking about PvP? Are you talking about arenas? Are you talking about BGs? Because in BGs you're gonna get top damage, let's say, most of the time. You're just running around swinging, one-shotting people and stuff. But in arenas you're more on the supportive side. But you're not doing that much amount of damage. I mean, you're still doing a lot of damage, but you have to be quite patient when you do that. And yeah, I think outside it's quite good. Not as good as, let's say, a rogue or a mage or something else, a lock. But it can definitely go up there if you enjoy playing it and can get quite good at it.
And then what do you think? Definitely. I was going to say, what do you think is the sort of best path for an enhancement to get gladiators then?
Sorry, what?
What's sort of the best path to get gladiators? What comps? Is it going to be 2s? Is it going to be 3s? Is it going to be Beast Cleave? Is it going to be...
It's definitely going to be 3s. I mean, it has to be 3s. There's no way in 2s that you're going to get it. Because you just feel short on every matchup that you play. I mean, yes, you can outplay your opponents and win, but you have to outplay your opponents really hard. Because even in some games, in some matchups, even if you do outplay your opponents, then you're still gonna lose. They can misplay and you can outplay them, but at the end you're still gonna lose. Because you're just playing that class. But in 3s, there's a lot more room for mistakes. And also, let's say, if you're rocking with a BM Hunter, then people are gonna get... They wanna LOS that Hunter, not to get free damage on, so you're free to go, because no one is really controlling you or anything. They sort of forget about you. But if they don't, I mean, that's when you're gonna have a hard time.
Yeah, and then we're saying, what, Beast Cleave is probably the best 3s comp, so Enhance, BM Hunter, Resto Druid?
Yeah. Turbo can get quite good, I would say. Probably later on, Turbo might be better, because Warrior's damage is just insane. And if the Warrior is also an RNG, got Mace Stunning, proccing Wind Fury in one swing, then you're gonna have a lot of trouble playing against that.
And you think it's better for the to go maces than say swords and get the additional pressure?
Yeah, I mean, maces definitely help a lot. I mean, just being able to stun your target, because you don't really have any stuns being playing Hunter. I mean, playing a Beast Cliff, you have that Hunter pet stun.
Yeah.
And the occasional concussive shot stun if the Hunter is lucky enough. But that's it. And if you play with Warrior, you have Intercept, which can get resisted quite often. And if the Warrior is not moving, he's not intercepting, right? But yeah, that RNG Whirlwind Mace Stun proc is quite something.
Okay, well, as I said, if there's not any more questions from chat, I think we will wrap it up. I'll give them 30 seconds or so just to get any final thoughts in. But thank you very much for coming on today. As I said, Deathwalker, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for having me here. It was really nice talking about shamans.
Yes, definitely the best thing to talk about. Gotta be
Yeah,
Shaman.
I agree.
And I suppose we can also confirm that you do in fact get rank 2 Purge in Vanilla.
Yeah, you do get rank 2 Purge in Vanilla.
The Shaman experts on Kargaz's podcast were... Ooh.
I mean, the only new thing you get is Druid Rage and Water Shoot. That's about it.
You get Lust as well, you get good old Bloodlust.
Oh yeah.
And then, yeah, certainly in Arena.
Bloodlust is definitely huge.
Oh yeah, no, Bloodlust just changes the game in a crazy way. Right, okay, as I said, I think we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much for coming on. Do you any shout outs, anything you want to say, any final thoughts for yourself?
Shout outs to my 3 teammates. But yeah, yeah, it was absolute pleasure, man. Thank you for having me here.
Okay, well, yep, we will, I'm sure, catch up at some point, and I'll definitely, hopefully see you in the arena. Though I say that, I don't.
Yeah, we're definitely
sure
gonna play in arenas. Definitely, we're gonna play some more shadow play. I mean, that shadow play, I would say it was the one comp that we thought that we were gonna win against. We didn't think we were gonna win against anything else besides you guys.
Well, it's nice to know that we were at least wanted by somebody. Generally, people don't want to.
But that's because you're both DPS are cloth users and you do quite a bit of physical damage. So there's that.
Yeah, I definitely think quite a bit is maybe a slight understatement on your part, but yeah, no.
But I think if you get some more games, you're definitely gonna have the upper hand in the near future.
As long as it's not too much Lord 1, I'll be happy.
Even there's things you can do to stop us.
Yeah, I think we maybe lacked a little bit of discipline. I think we could maybe take the game long.
Yes, if you just wait for us, there's nothing we can do about it. We have to get to you if you wanna do damage. And if we don't get on you instantly, then we're all fully dotted and just tank.
Yeah, no, we've like as a threes, we sort of reviewed the matches, and I think that was the general takeaway. There was a couple like acute like misplays on my part at least as well, but in general I think it was just our positioning was pretty dog.
Yeah, I mean, if we can hit anything and we're not getting dotted, that's a huge win for us.
Yeah. Right. Well, as I said, thank you very much for coming. I think we'll wrap it up there.
All right.
And yeah, I will speak to you when we do, and see you in arena, mate.
All right. See you, mate.
Cheers. Okay, guys. That has been the Enhancement podcast or interview, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, if you've missed anything, then there's the VOD on Twitch, and I will be also uploading a version onto YouTube. So if it's been a while since you've seen it and you want to go back to it, then it will be on YouTube. Very big thanks to Deathwalker for coming on. Big thanks to everyone that's watched, and any questions you can jump onto the Discord. Deathwalker is there, so he'll be able to answer any questions you have with regards to Enhancement, or if you have Resto questions, then you can talk to me. There will be normal streams as always during the week, and there's actually a YouTube has just gone up, or going up later this evening I think, which is Shadowplay versus RMP. So check that one out, and have a fantastic evening, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. I have been Caitlin, and yeah, cheers.